blast of trumpets screeched from the high walls. Everyone stopped what they were doing. The armory door yawned wide. 200 soldiers poured out and marched across the courtyard to the gates. Pa pulled the black hood over his face. Moss knew what was coming. All around them, people shrank back. Some shuddered, some crossed themselves. Some turned their heads as though a foul stench pricked their noses. Moss could have cried with shame. But what good would that do? So she stared at her boots, trying to shut out the whispers. "Stay back. The executioner, the basket girl, don't go near them. They touch death." "Come on," said Pa, and yanked her into the march of the procession. Over the walls of the Lion Tower came the howl of animals in the beast house. Moss had never seen the beasts, but their roars echoed over Tower Green every time the bell was rung, or the cannons fired, or on a day like today when the shouts from the hills stirred them in their cages. The procession marched on, over the narrow moat bridge to the great gate. Once more the fanfare blasted from the turrets, and the portcullis was raised. Moss was knocked back by the roar of the crowd. She dropped her basket, covering her ears. "Pick it up," said Pa. His voice was flat. "Pa, all these people. There must be twice as many as last time." "Just walk." She walked, following the slow line of soldiers up the muddy path of Tower Hill. All around her the crowd heaved and pushed, and those that weren't complaining cried out their business. "Carvings, carvings, last true likeness of a condemned man. Tragic Tom on a tankard, a little piece of history to take home. Ladies and gents, the ballad of poor Sir Tom, cry like a baby or your money back." Moss hurried on beside Pa. They were nearly at the top of the hill, and though the crowd pressed her from all sides, she caught a glimpse of the sprawling city beyond. It was smoke and shadows, dark as a cellar. A mystery. A place she would never go. Her world was the tower, and the only time she set foot outside its walls was the slow walk to the scaffold on execution days. She glanced across at Pa. His hooded head was bowed just like always, his axe held respectfully by his side just like always, and, just like always, it made Moss cringe. "Out of the way, you wretches!" Soldiers were shoving the front row, who shoved viciously back. "Make way for the Lord Lieutenant of the Tower!" Lieutenant William Kingston, doublet drawn tight around his girdled waist, chest puffed, savouring every step of his slow walk up the hill. He was a man with an eye to a title. That's what people said. In the space of a month, he had organised the executions of 3 monks and a bishop. It seemed to Moss as though the whole of London flocked to the hill, to see the monks dragged to Tyburn, to see Bishop Fisher's head roll, and today the beheading of the man who was once the king's best friend, Sir Thomas More. No wonder people were calling it the Bloody Summer. She felt the crowd surge forward, and she struggled to stay in line while the soldiers pushed them back. The lieutenant bowed low. His guests had arrived, sweeping towards the bank of seats by the scaffold. There was the tight-lipped man who came to every execution. Next to him another man, straight-nosed, eyes like stones. In front of them both was a lady, her face hidden, shrouded in a cloak of deep blue velvet. And now whispers were stirring in the crowd. "The Queen! Queen Anne Boleyn is watching!" Anne Boleyn, the firecracker queen. She'd come from nowhere, dazzled the king and blown a country apart. People didn't like her, Moss knew that. She'd stayed in the tower once, the night before her coronation, and though Moss hadn't seen the Queen herself, she'd heard plenty of tongues clacking. They said that her clothes were too showy, her manners too French, that she was an upstart who didn't know her place. Moss took a good look. Was that really her? The velvet cloak, too heavy for summer, weighed down her small frame. She didn't look much like a firecracker, thought Moss. More like a broken twig. Her movements seemed fragile. Hiding under the shadow of her cloak, her face was anxious, and when the stone-eyed man said something in her ear, she flinched. Now the